If you start keeping a track of the astronomical bodies in the universe, trust me, by just looking at it, you will be able to tell which are of them are planets, which are nebula or the galaxies. It's all about how you keep a track of them. In 2004, we had bought an astronomical telescope, which was quite good, and the goodness can be measured from the fact that it had the 70 mm mirror diameter. Now, more this is, more you can see the ability to collect the lights from the distant objects, and it is able to connect or concentrate at a single point by which you can magnify. All the telescopes work on this principle, and this too. Now, it was quite surprising for us when on a wintry night in December, it was around 3 or 4 a.m. I was curious and decided to have a look at the sky during that time. Earlier, it was very good, very dark and ideal for astrogazing. I went outside, I was alone, I was just pulled on the sweater and started moving randomly the telescope. At a moment, I was startled to find that, wow, what was that? Was it a galaxy? And in a telescope, you can just make this setting and just zoom and roam around and move on the directions of the telescope randomly, and you'll get to see some object. And it was elliptical this time, oval. I was quite curious, hey, what was that? Was it a galaxy? Then as I uh, zoomed onto it and clarified it, I jumped out of excitement. I said, oh my god, this is Saturn. The yellow ball with that ring around it, and clearly the sunlight was visible from below. And it was quite a spectacular view to watch the Saturn with your eyes in reality, and exactly the same way it has been depicted in our books or probably the images from Hubble. Now, it would be unfair to compare a home telescope with the quality of the images produced by Hubble. It's way smaller, but you can recognize the yellow color, the ring, and Saturn. Then I called back my parents and my brother. Without waiting for a moment, they just forget all the winterish lethargy. They just jumped out of bed and started running, and before I could complete on the passing of the messages, I saw my father standing next to the telescope and checking on the Saturn. He was like, wow. Everyone had the same expression. After that, we also watched the Jupiter, on which we could see the lines and the great red spot that they say is a very huge storm and can take up the entire earth inside of it. So my point is, by keeping a track of the astronomical objects in the skies, now I knew at what time, in which direction to look for, and what in general it appears, whether it's yellowish tinge, bluish tinge, or probably it's bright and whitish, and which object is it, which planet it is, whether it's a star or planet. I could tell the people directly, hey, see, that's Jupiter, that's Saturn, that's Mars, Venus. Mercury, it's so close to the sun that you are able to see it only when it passes directly right between the earth and the sun, and you can move it passing. Now, when I tell people randomly that, have you ever cared to identify what this shining star is? I say it's Jupiter. They say, ooh, wow, this is for the first time I have seen it. I mean, are you sure? Can you see the planets in such a manner? I said yes. And they say, how you're so sure? How do you know about it? I said, it's just all about keeping a track of it and taking an interest. It's so simple. So even the things which you think are such an arcane or difficult to understand can be made a day-to-day observation as well as a part of your knowledge that can be increased over time. It's just about putting a little interest and effort into that direction. and makes it a normal thing for you, and it feels great to just roam around while other people are just busy gazing into their mobile. You can look up, watch the stars, make you look, I mean, make you feel good, as well as where are the constellations, which are the nebula, is there any galaxies. If you live in an area which gives you a very good view of the skies, being in Delhi it's not so good. Anyways, you should have the knowledge, and it feels good. At least for me, it does. And I can still tell in which months which planets are generally visible. Anyways, to unload that pressure of coming up with the knowledge and keeping a track of all these astronomical bodies, there's an app known as Skyview app. There's a free version and it's so great, so much synchronized. You just need to synchronize it according to your locations, and you just point it at the sky in the direction you would like to check what kind of body it is. It will tell exactly whether it's Mars, Jupiter, some star, or the constellation. So it's a great way to start with if you are not having such a great views or maybe the knowledge, or to tell you with surety what it is, because sometimes people get confused between bright stars and planets. There are many ways, like they twinkle, sometimes still so bright that may make you look confused. But Skyview app free is a great app to develop your interest as well as knowledge in that field, and astronomy, learning about it and knowing and thinking the way how humanity has tried to understand and move beyond the horizon always inspires you and makes you push your limits and makes you a better person. So keep watching above, and there's always a hope. So that's all from my side today. There you go. Bye.